Craig, let's start with the guy on the mound starting today, Bradgley Rodriguez. Why was Bradgley the right choice to open up today's game?
Yeah, we're, doing our mixed match of pitching, and we decided we liked him at the top of the lineup against, who we suspected would be at the top of their lineup. He's one of our best pitchers, and we want him facing some of their best hitters.
Bradgley is still such a young pitcher. He's really been thrown into, I think, a variety of situations this season, high leverage opening games. Can you speak to how impressive it's been to watch him not just have success, but really take on so many different roles?
Yeah, you're right. That is impressive. He's a tough kid, mentally tough kid. Handles any situation that we've thrown at him. It is his first full season in the big league, so there's a tax to that of just getting used to the day-to-day grind. But he's handled it very well, and we expect good things out of him the rest of the year.
Still going with this pitching by committee situation, at least for tonight. Can German Marquez play a role in today's game?
Yeah, he's part of the bullpen just like everybody else, and he has the ability to give us some length out of the pen. We'll see if his number gets called today.
Craig, obviously it's a big few days coming up with the trade deadline, but if you go back, you look at the past month or so, your team, you've kind of hovered around 500 one way or the other, 3 games going both ways. To you, no matter what happens around the deadline, what'll be the key of sort of taking off in the final 2 months of the season in the right direction?
Yeah, I think we've kind of started to show, our style of baseball, and if we play that style of baseball, we have a better chance of winning. We showed that in Miami. We showed the first 2 days in Colorado, that 5-game stretch. And I would even take it back to Atlanta when we lost 3 out of 4. We played the right way, and we played that way. I think over the course of time, we'll get more wins and losses.
Luis Campusano DHing today with Freddie catching. Can you speak to how important Luis is from what he can do from an offensive standpoint for this lineup?
Yeah, he just adds an element in that catcher's position tonight as a DH. He's a bat that can do damage at any point, and he's been taking great at bats. He's been working some walks. He's been great with 2-out, 2-strike hitting. So we just trust him with the bat, and want to get that extra bat in the lineup against the lefty today.
DH is definitely a position. It's got a unique skill set to it for a guy who's used to, or catcher especially, used to being involved in literally every pitch. How does he adjust to? He's got 4 at-bats versus being in there for 250 pitches in a game.
Yeah, while it's the first time Campy's done that this year, it's not the first time he's done that in the past. In fact, he DH'd quite a bit last year. So I think he's got his own routine in that and the ability to do that, but that's the hardest part of DHing, is being able to stay focused for the whole entire game, because you're only going to get 4 or 5 at-bats, and how do you make those 4 or 5 at-bats impactful in the game when you're not out there every single pitch on defense?
Talk to Titus a little bit. He was talking us through the mechanical change that he made. Just simple as lift his hands, don't let the load go back. When you get something that simple in baseball, is that kind of just what this game is about, where it can be a difference of an inch one way or another that leads to success versus struggling?
Yeah, you're 100% right. You could probably go through every guy in our lineup right now from when they were struggling to when they're hitting good. Hey, what mechanical adjustment or what thought did you make? And it's yeah, you should have thought of that a long time ago. How simple that is and how clear it is. But I think that's kind of what baseball is. It's just making those small adjustments and tweaks, and trying to see what the other team's doing against you and make an adjustment to that too. That little cat and mouse game. That's a cat and mouse game in your own brain with your own self and your own body, and a cat and mouse game against the other team also.
With this pitching plan, how much are you going into a game where you're like, all right, I got 5 guys in mind, I just know what order I'm going to use them, versus I really have no idea how this is going to play out, and anybody's available unless you threw 50 pitches yesterday?
Yeah, I think here lately we've planned it out a little bit more, where we have an order per se that could change on a dime, but for the most part we have an idea of how, if the game goes the way we want it to, it'll go this way. And we've had 4 or 5 games that have kind of gone to script. Last night was probably not one that went to script, and we had to make some adjustments, and Randy probably pitched longer than we were expecting at the beginning of the day, but ended up having a great outing and really saving the rest of our pens.
Having Jeremiah back as a guy who's going to be the 1-inning high-leverage guy, or do you envision him possibly on occasion going multiple innings as well?
Yeah, he can definitely go multiple innings. I think coming off the IL, we've got to be careful with him. We can't pitch him every single day. We can't pitch him 2-3 innings at a time. We got to ease him back into it, but he's definitely one of our higher leverage guys that we're counting on.
Are you going to throw a bullpen tomorrow?
Joe and Nick will probably both throw a bullpen today if throwing goes well today.
How's it going assessing the recovery of these guys who are going 3 or 4? Because usually it's usually they're starting or you're throwing one. A guy like Kyle Hart, how do you assess when they're available, how they're available based on what they did?
Yeah, probably the biggest thing is asking the player. Second biggest thing is maybe my personal experience with it, and to know if they're lying or not, which most of the time they are. And I think we also have, like, everything's got an algorithm to it. We've got a way to, like, try to monitor, how much stress an outing puts on somebody and what that stress looks like over the course of a short period of time.
Just to clarify with the bullpen for Nick and Joe, you said they throw today, bullpen today or bullpen tomorrow?
Tomorrow. Scheduled tomorrow based on how they do today.
What goes into knowing, like, after, like, say, a 3-inning outing? What things do you look for a guy?
How many pitches, how many times he went out to the mound or got up. Sometimes you'll pitch 3 innings but ended up going into a different inning 4 times, so that extra up adds something to it. Previous day's workload, previous times up in the pen when they didn't go in the game, that kind of stuff.
Is there then like there's guys you assume you don't want to use, but are there guys that are like could use, but like a yellow light?
Yeah, exactly. A lot of yellow lights these days. So
that's kind of a product of the.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a product of the symptom or a product of the system, and then also, we got to check in with these guys daily. I think at the beginning I said communication was going to be the #1 priority in this, and that's a big part of it.
When Jeremiah is fully eased back, what could that mean for a guy like Warren, who's had a pretty decent workload throughout the season at times?
Yeah, I think you get those are four highest leverage guys: Mason, Adrian, Jeremiah, and Bradgley, all in the same bullpen at the same time. You would hope you wouldn't have to use all 4 on the same day every single time that we're in a winning situation. So, maybe that limits one of them on a day, or one of them's down for the day, they get the extra day of rest, the other 3 can pick it up. And that's kind of hopefully how we can manage this thing going forward.
But Jason off that list, is he still a ways away?
Yeah, Jason's still a ways away, but Jason's in that mix at the beginning of the season, was definitely a part of that mix. We had, that's probably why our bullpen was so effective early in the year. Not that it's not effective now, but it was really effective then, as we had 5 of those guys to manage, the last 3 or 4 innings of the game.
When it comes to the trade deadline, how different is your input as manager than when you were in baseball ops working right with AJ?
It's probably not a ton different, honestly. Like, AJ keeps everything pretty close to his chest. It's more, I'm in the know more now than I was before. So, yeah, but still, like, I'm not making the decision. He's making the decision. He's just throwing ideas off me and see what I think.
What day will Scooball be starting for you?
He's a great pitcher. Who knows if the Tigers trade him? Obviously, you want the best pitcher in baseball, or one of the best pitchers in baseball on your team, but it's not as easy as just trading for him. Nice question.